So we at Life Force Canada are here to educate you in how to prepare for change, to define the changes you want to make together within our 9 pillars. And we're co-creating a self-governing system. And again, together we rise. This is how we're going to do it. One of our pillars is natural law, and this is what we are discussing this evening. And then we're going to end the evening with a meditation. And meditation teaches us how to be at peace within ourselves. It's a sign of growth when we can respond calmly to the negative behaviors of others. And there's a lot of negativity out there in the world right now. And many are feeling the loss of their freedoms and rights. And this is what our conversation is going to be about today. We've been deceived for hundreds of years, as we know, and we are on the road out of Babylon. Today, we're going to be discussing our rights. And this is an educational and informational call. I'm only sharing information and inspiring you to take action, the action that you need to take to do your own research in becoming sovereign. And one of our 9 pillars is, again, natural law. And if you've not been on the call with Steve, it's on Wednesday evenings. I highly recommend that you do. How many of you in the chat saw the videos on David Straight, even if it was just the one video? Right now, we need to learn our rights, right? We need to learn how to stand in natural law. And being a living man or woman, we need to learn how to face the police or healthcare workers and stand with confidence and in that peaceful non-compliance, right? To not wear a mask anywhere. I do not wear a mask ever. I never have in any store or restaurant. And we can all do this. And we also need to learn what to say, right? That's where the confidence comes in. There's a lot of experts in common law and natural law. However, there's not too many of them in Canada. And in the weeks ahead, we're going to be really diving deeper into this subject so that we can stand and face the enemy, not fight the enemy. Okay, we need to stand and face what is before us. Now, even though David is an American, he's teaching the teachers how to reclaim sovereignty. And the concept that he shares applies across the earth, not just in the US. And Christopher James interviewed him last April. And he does state that the legal system is satanic, and many lawyers, they've got kind hearts, are waking up to the system that they're in, such as the amazing Doris from Lawyers for Truth. If you haven't been onto the Life Force Canada YouTube channel and listened to the interview with Doris, she is an amazing woman, and she is learning more than ever right now in regards to natural law and how we can truly be sovereign and really reclaim our rights. I know there's a few people who weren't able to see his video, so we're just going to watch the first 10 minutes, and then we're going to have a discussion.
Everybody's at different stages in this learning game of the Great Awakening, because we're all waking up across the country. This is a biblical thing. Nobody made it up, at least not on this earth anyway. But we know exactly what's going to go on, approximate time frames of what's going to happen. And right now we're in an exciting time to be alive. This is a war between good and evil. It's also a war between we the people and the Bar Association. The Bar Association is a cause of the vast majority of problems we have in America and the world. They own and control everything. I got a good friend, he's fairly young. His name is Justin. And Justin sailed through high school. He has the ability to read and retain every word, every page number. Look it up later, know where he is, what book it came out of, who wrote it. just blows my mind, this level of competency. 2 years of law school and got a doctorate after high school. Probably one of the youngest attorneys I've ever seen. Passed the bar on his first try with an 800 score. Nobody does that. And he went to work for one of the largest law firms in Seattle. And at his celebration party, they rented the Space Needle for a celebration party for the night. So the entire law firm had it. They had dinner, and then Justin's standing there and he's looking out the windows at the city lights of Seattle. And the main partner of the law firm walked up and put his arm around Justin. He said, "What do you see out there? Who do you think controls all of that? We've got some of the largest companies in the world. We've got Microsoft and Amazon, Boeing, right here in Seattle. Who do you think controls those? Who do you think controls the little mom and pop stores down there on the pier downtown? Who do you think controls the state of Washington's government and all the little municipalities and the county governments? Who do you think controls all that?" And Justin proceeded to say, "Well, we the people elect our representatives and they control government, and the CEOs make the decisions for the corporations." And the leading law partner let out a big old belly laugh, and he says, "No, not one CEO, not one legislator makes a decision. Not one invoice, not one piece of sales literature, not one contract is written by any of them. They're written by us. They don't make a decision without running it past their legal department. We, the Bar Association, makes the decisions that run the world." And Justin looked him in the eye, shook his hand, and said, "I quit." And now he's helping the people with the law. He tore his bar card up and walked out and threw it away. Okay, I'm really proud of him. Over the years, I've probably got 20 or 30 attorneys to tear up their bar cards. And I've got judges that help us, because they understand, once I've taught them the basics, that they didn't know what the law was. They didn't know its origin. They didn't know what it came from. If I was to ask you, where did the law come from? What's its origin? How did we arrive at this thing called law, where a small group of men could put something down on paper and try and hold me, a man, accountable? Could you answer that question? You watched my video, okay? No, actually it wasn't. It was Genesis 1:26 through 28. God gave me man dominion over the land, the air, and the water. And this is law. The land became common law, common to all mankind. It's property, it's equity, it's rights. It's our rights. They're unalienable. What does unalienable mean? They cannot place a lien upon our rights. That's what it means. Those rights are unalienable. It has to do with things of property nature, patents and grants and securities, gold and silver, commodities, things we own, right? Things we own. That's what common law is. It deals with properties and it deals with our rights. The air, which is the highest form of law, the air is above the land, which is above the water.
Never heard that term before, though.
Air is ecclesiastical.
Unalienable rights or whatever?
Trust.
Unalienable rights?
All things
Under law, it's actually
held in the benefit of
unalienable
another
rights.
are heirs. It's trust law. That's all it is. In Genesis 1:26 through Genesis 2:25, is a trust indenture. Why did God start that off right in the very
It's
beginning
supposed
of
to
the
be
Bible?
unalienable
World
laws.
under trust to mankind.
Alienable.
We're the
You
trust.
can't place a lien against it.
He's the executive.
Shut your mic off.
He placed it to us to manage for the benefit of our beneficiaries, our future heirs, for generations to come. Lives on in perpetuity forever. And what is the definition of forever? Until the end of the earth. Forever is till the end of the earth. Then we're in eternity. Okay. So it lives on in perpetuity forever. The jurisdiction of the water is admiralty law. It is commerce. It's contract law. Things held in contract with another. Now, there's some interesting elements to a true contract that the Bar Association doesn't want to teach you. The Bar Association teach you there's got to be an agreement, consideration, both people have to sign, and you got a contract. Well, that's not true. There's 8 elements of a contract, okay? But one of the most important of those elements is a contract has to be between like kind. Can a man write a contract with a man? Yes. And when I use the word man today, that means mankind, not being gender specific, it's mankind. It's our species. Okay, so a man can have a contract with a man, but a corporation has to have a contract with a corporation. Can a man have a contract with a corporation? No. Yeah. It's like kind versus like kind. Why did they put things in corporations? Anybody know? Why did they start doing that? Yeah. You're exactly right. It's to limit liability. So if a man has integrity, purpose, knows all 8 elements of a contract and writes a proper contract where there's a meeting of the minds, there's full and honest disclosure of the terms and conditions of the contract, there's equal consideration where one person gives something up and one receives, and the other gives something up and the other receives. It has to be a two-way street. If that's true, why do they have to form corporations? No, I'm serious. The reason is because of a lack of integrity. If we had integrity, we'd never need a corporation. If we were honest, we'd never need a corporation. Corporations exist so that people can be taken advantage of. Yeah, because they have no integrity.
Breathe that in. Okay, Kendra, thank you so much. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Absolutely. And yes, I love Mark Passio and Mark Christopher as well. Those are great resources, great men who are offering a lot of knowledge in regards to common law and natural law. And in a moment, I'm going to open up for Q&A, and I would love for you to share what you discovered about yourself, discovered about common law, natural law. But before we do, how many of you are just learning about your birth certificate? Just in the chat. So for those who do not know it yet, when you were born, right, you were unknowingly licensed, bonded, registered, and insured. Your vessel as a body was created, and the CQV trust was created. And I know there's no bank number on Canadian birth certificates. I have mine here, but it is actual bond paper. And there's a registration number and a CUSIP number. And David talks about this in his videos. And the CUSIP is an investment control number that is regulated by Securities and Exchange Commission. So if you were born between 1933 and 1975, you were bonded for $630,000 and insured for $1 million. If you're born after 1975, you were bonded for $1 million and insured for $2 million. I don't know if that's true for Canadians. So I'm just going to show you now, but this is a website, it's called Aware. Here they're sharing about the CQV Act of 1666. Interesting date, isn't it? And this was created to subrogate the rights of men and women, meaning all men and women were now declared dead, lost at sea, beyond the sea. I'm not going to read it all here. I'll give you the link and then you can look at it this later on today or tomorrow. What I want to share with you, though, is that the state became the trustee husband, holding all titles to the people and property until a living man or living woman comes back to reclaim those titles. And he or she can also claim damages. And so we are now being called to reclaim what is rightfully ours. And there's a lot of information here that I recommend that you move through. And again, the birth certificates are issued to us by the dock, which is, you know, as like a ship, right? We're given a birth certificate at the dock. It's all about commerce. And I'll just let you read through that. And it's all done through fraud. I'm just going to grab the link here. And thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Okay, there's the link. So this is a lot to take in, I know. But we need to learn, we need to do our research, we need to discover, and then how do we jump out of this realm, right? So you were bonded for $1 million. The bank went to the International Monetary Fund and took that $1 million and gave it out to the general public the moment you were born. And then companies are buying and selling you every single day. You are a creditor, and we've never been taught that we're actually creditors. We've been taught that we are debtors, right? And David said that he's seen individuals that have been worth $38 billion. Isn't that amazing? And these people didn't have a cent to their name. So we are currently funding the government. And he calls it off-book funds, right? And that they don't care about going in debt because all the money that they use is from your trust. And they spend $1 trillion a day. That's what I wanted to share with you, what I got from this. I mean, I've known about the birth certificates for a very long time, but just every time you hear it, it just goes deeper and deeper within. So it allows for us as sovereigns to ignite the fire in us to say, we are no longer going to tolerate this, right? DK.
I'm just reminded of something I heard that was kind of poetic. I forget where I heard it from, but I think it's related to this. Like sometimes when babies are born, I think they take an image of their soul, like the bottom of the foot.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. I heard a very poetic thing about that. So they have like an imprint, almost like a fingerprint of the sole of your foot. Now, soul is S, because a lot of this is wordplay in the English language. So, of course, the bottom of the foot is S-O-L-E. I heard a poetic thing once that said, so when you're born and they do the imprint of your foot, they have your soul before your feet touch the ground.
Yes.
I just thought that was interesting. Anyway, that's just my thought.
Thank you, DK. I'm actually going to play that video next Monday. Yeah.
I haven't seen it anywhere else. This is something I never even knew you had the video of it. But okay, cool.
Yeah, I found it. I just found it this week, and here you're talking about it. I love it. Yeah, and it's about the Vatican, and you're right. They just take the imprint of the soul. And the amazing thing is that energy, like life force energy, comes up through our feet as well, right? When we're connected to our soul energy. And yeah, they don't want us to connect to that force. Thank you, DK. So how many of you were a little upset when he talked about mortgages? He shared that your mortgage was paid off the moment you signed it. But they want you to believe that you're a debtor. And then they say, oh, well, now you're going to pay your mortgage every single month for the next 20 years or so. But they will not let you know that you've never had to pay. The moment you sign for your house, it's actually yours. It's incredible. And so our job here is to correct the errors. We've been acquiescing because we've been ignorant, right? Ignorance is lack of knowledge. And if we do not correct their clerical errors, they're just going to continue doing what they do. And we have been correcting their errors for hundreds of years. And as he mentioned, and we all know this, right? Corporations were created because no one has integrity. And so we need to now move forward without the corporations. Barbara.
Karen, I want to congratulate you. They talked about you on the call today, so that was awesome. And Dwayne, I love your news program. It's so good. I'm so proud of you and our whole organization when I watch you up there. So thanks so much. And I wanted to say, if Kim has all the assets, they can't be trading us anymore because they can't get the funds, right?
That is true. Yes, Barbara. And we just we need to confirm that, because I haven't seen how she said that she's made everyone sovereign already. And so I just want to see that.
But no one can make you sovereign because we're all sovereign. We just have to step into it. So I think she just recorded us as sovereign in the Hall of Records for the purpose of saying we're not part of the Admiralty system, but no one can give you sovereignty because the creator already gave it, source already gave it to us. So we can step into our sovereignty, every single one of us right now, today, this second, and we don't have to acquiesce and comply and do any of those things that they're forcing us to do, especially when, they're calling them directives and mandates. But if we're all sovereign, I think we need to learn what that means and learn how to step into it and learn how to live that way, which is what our councils basically are doing, right? We're all trying to teach each other how to be sovereign, and we're like the infants. And then the infants of this generation, we're going to teach right from infancy to adulthood. So when they're adults, they won't be infants in what it means to be sovereign. They won't be infants in natural law. They'll be grown-ups, but we're infants. We're struggling with this. We're working on our guidelines, or some people are calling bylaws. We've decided to call them guidelines for our council. And so we're struggling with the terminology of slavery and trying to remove it from the document. And we're trying to keep ourselves in sovereignty. But I find that people have a real comfort zone in the slave system, and it's really hard to pull them back out. And you have to keep reminding them, that's slavery talk natural law, talk freedom. So it's really been a really amazing journey, and going through the bylaws is a really great exercise for people to learn to stay in freedom and not to slip back into slavery. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Barbara. In regards to sovereignty, I was referring more to the CUSEP number, not to the soul force, not to the sovereignty that we already are. But in regards to the CUSEP number, I haven't heard anything about the birth certificate piece. That's what I was referring to in regards to Kim. But yes, you are absolutely right. We as humanity are remembering our sovereignty. We're remembering that we are a living man, a living woman, and it's our time to rise right now. And we are doing it because we are coming together right now and taking inspired action. And in claiming our sovereignty, this is when you don't wear a mask anywhere. You do not move into acquiescing into any of their systems whatsoever. That is pure sovereignty. And as we begin to step out, right, it's stepping out of the driver's license. It's going to be stepping out of all the corporations. It's stepping out of every system that they've created. And that's what we're going to be learning as we move forward. Thank you, Barbara. I love your passion. Terry,
Hello, Karen. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
That's good. I've been pushing the envelope a little bit on that from the videos that I saw. That was really, really good and inspiring. And what I wanted to do was tell you, I've already been working with the Registry of Alberta because I phoned Ford Motor Company and General Motors to get a certificate of origin for a new vehicle. And they said I have to register to the registry. I says, no, I am sovereign. I have the certificate of origin, and I'm going to push that my insurance company for my aircraft, because they are sending the certificate of origin from the FAA in the USA. It was transported to or imported from the States with no certificate of origin, which Transport Canada didn't even know. So I'm pushing that too. And we have to change the paradigm. My insurance company said, no, you'll have to get special insurance. And the insurance company was Magnus, that looks after my aircraft and the rest of my vehicles. And so they're looking into it. We do have to get the narrative changed, like your last person was saying, because nobody understands. Even when I went to the dealerships, well, we didn't know anything about that. So I phoned directly down to Ford Motor Company, GM, and yes, they will give us a certificate of origin. And now I'm working on the land titles for a certificate of origin, or the, I forget what he said on that video, for our land. So we have to start learning and need to know more information. And I would like to actually, have you got a site or an email or a phone number that I can get a hold of the fellow that David Strait? And if this, I understand that the US is actually under the Crown, and so is Canada law. Other than the constitutions are a little different, but I think they both apply the same, whether it's US, Canada, Britain, Australia. And I'd like clarification on that, what loopholes we have to go through to get this in the works, because I'm starting to teach our people in our assembly of this. I give every one of our members that they're just getting started. We're just having general meetings and they're learning this. And that's a good teaching tool. So I was wondering if we could touch base with this guy, even to come up and do a seminar for us in the Canada, or hook up to him for a Zoom call with him would be really, really great. That's all I got to say, and I'll yield.
Thank you so much, Terry. Right now, all I have is his website. He's teaching more common law in America. However, I have met a man named Paul here in Calgary, and he's been teaching natural law. I just haven't been able to reach him or contact him this week. So I do plan on, within the next month, getting him onto one of our calls. And
Perfect.
this is the path to sovereignty, and this is why I wanted to have this call tonight. Thank you, Terry. And just before I move forward here, isn't it incredible how David pronounces unalienable, not unalienable? To me, it made so much sense in how he pronounced it. It means your right of self-determination. You are unalienable. There should be no liens against you. It's incredible. Marie.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to say something because I listened to about three videos, and one was a webinar from this David. And since he quoted Genesis 1:26, and he says that we as a sovereign people are actually appointed by divine appointment. So I just wanted to read what Genesis 1:26 says. And God said, let us make man in our own image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of heaven, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. So I just thought I wanted to share that with you. So, because he was giving an example that he was in court, and he didn't want to stand up in front of the, when the judge enters the chambers. And so he was sitting down, and then he says, he got up and he says that, I came here as a divine appointment. So he was representing himself as a sovereign, not according to the common law or any other civil law. So I just add that.
Yes, absolutely. And what you speak of is natural law, 100%. Thank you for sharing that, Marie. You're absolutely right, King. Lots of police do not know of other jurisdictions, 100%. And police is policy enforcement agents, right? Not law enforcement. Governments have chosen to cooperate, and so has the police. Every police station is a corporation, just like Walmart. I love when he said that. And so when we hear that, it's allowing us to drop our fears of the police, to let go of our fear of authority, to let go and go, okay, they are servants. Danny.
Hi,
Hello.
Karen. Hi, everyone. I was at the walk in Calgary here a couple weeks ago, and I met a gal who was very interesting. She was talking about our mortgages and our I guess, land deeds and that kind of thing. And she asked me if I could bring in my lot and block numbers for my property, because she will do up documents to get it, I guess, to confirm that I do own this piece of property I'm sitting in. And yeah, she was a very interesting lady to talk to. So I'm interested in finding out, getting her to do it, doing the paperwork, and then maybe comparing, I guess, what David Straight has to say about all this. Yeah, she was very interesting. She was also mentioning something about signing documents where you cross out the word signature and you put by and a semicolon in front of your name. Also, the color of the ink makes a big difference. Red meaning living, black meaning death, and I think she said royal, or purple ink means royal. So yeah, I'm hoping to connect with her hopefully in the next walk next Saturday, so I can maybe get this paperwork going with her. So yeah, I was really intrigued with her, really intrigued. So anyway, that's all I have to say.
Whenever you have all this completed, please report back.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, that's for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Danny.
Oh.
Excellent. Okay, and Barbara, I also wanted to thank you again for just sharing about Kelly, what he shared. I just want to say thank you to everyone in our Plan Council Alberta. Everyone in that council rocks. Oh my gosh, everyone is just stepping up and taking action. And it was our health and wellness committee that came up with the 911. idea. And yeah, they're just absolutely incredible. And Kelly has asked me to be the PGSD liaison for Canada. And so, yeah, I'll just put another hat on. So it's we're in for very interesting times, and I'm just very honored. I'm very honored to be here serving as many sovereigns as I can here. I'm never going to stop because we are already free. We're just being reminded that we need to step in and create our plan councils in every town and every city. And Sandra, I'm not too sure if you were watching in regards to how all the subscribers that are coming in. It was amazing. 2 weeks ago, we had so many people coming in from Ontario. And just yesterday and today, I think we had about 15 people sign up just in Calgary alone. So it's very exciting. And Saskatchewan, oh my gosh, so many people signed up to Lay First Canada in Saskatchewan too. And of course, from all over Canada. I'm just noticing that there's just been a surge of interest in stepping into becoming sovereign and reclaiming our rights and creating our councils, which is going to be key as we move forward. So anyone interested in creating their plan council in their town or city, please connect to your Plan Council Alberta or Plan Council BC, Saskatchewan, whatever it is, the website, and register there. And if anyone wants to put in their website that people can connect to, that would be awesome. Armando, hello.
Hi, Karen, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Fantastic. Great to see you, and thank you for, this is amazing what you're doing and what everybody is coming together creating here. I want to let Michael, my housemate here, make a comment about what Terry was saying earlier.
Absolutely.
So go ahead, Michael.
Just a couple things. It was one about Terry. He was talking about the certificate of manufacture or certificate of origin. You can request that the moment you purchase your brand new vehicle. Because they'll try to say, oh no, we have this into the registry. So you say, yes. However, I am shipping this overseas. So please provide me with a certificate of origin. And that's all you need. So that's comment number one. Number two, once it gets into the registries and that, they don't really keep it. It's not kept. They actually put on microfiche or electronic data or whatever. So it's realistically gone. So your best bet to get a certificate of manufacture is to get a new vehicle or one from the US. Because in the US, a certificate of manufacture actually has to, by their laws, be transferred from owner to owner to owner. The registries do not take it. So it's a little bit different in the US than Canada, or has been. The last note I just want to make note of is all about a warning and pre-warning about going ahead and jumping the gun and doing things without having an understanding. Even maybe within this group, I don't know where you're at or what you're planning or where you're going forward with. The biggest thing I've learned and seen is having understanding and where you're at and where you want to go. Yes, it's good to say that I'm a child of God and that's where we're at. However, unless you, and let's go back to the birth certificate security, unless you actually go through the process properly, and I mean, there is a process to actually reclaim your security properly, to say that you're the living man, unless you properly go through that process, anything you do and say outside of what's happening in this commercial world, where there's banking, police, the yada, 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 all goes back to that founding document. And until you have actually corrected that issue, you are still considered, and this is in the laws, I can bring them out and post them, you are still considered a minor. You are not a major. And as a minor, the government has full authority of doing what it wants to you, period, because they're the parent. So again, I say I caution, really caution doing anything drastically or soon or quickly. Find all the information you can. do what you need to do to correct the error. And it's an error, you know, they don't have to teach it. It's my responsibility to learn who and what I am and learn the laws and requirements of how it is to be a man or a woman standing up in this society. And that's all it is. So again, I caution, and suggest you just take time to study and find people who are willing to mentor and go through it. It'll take a while because there's a lot to understand. And I'll leave it at that. And thank you for your time.
Michael, thank you so much, Michael. I agree. This is really important to state over and over again. It's about doing our research. 100%. And don't take action until that such time as you know, because it's in the languaging and it's in how we present ourselves. And that is so key. And that's why moving forward too, we're going to be creating scripts so that everybody begins to become aware of how and what to say, etc. But I do agree with you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Terry, did you hear what he had to say?
Yes, I did. And I'm going to tell you, I learned on the Satan's side with the laws. He is exactly right on one part, that you got to stand for your God-given rights. And you have to go through the process, and you also have to correct the errors that they have and not be a minor, go after your account. And then, but number two is, when you go to buy a vehicle in any dealership, I went to 6-7 dealerships and they have no idea of the certificate of origin. That's why I had to phone the factory themselves. They have no idea. When I asked them at the dealership, I want to buy a brand new truck, I need a certificate of origin. They says they didn't have a clue what it was about. But your gentleman, last gentleman, he's exactly right. So we have to train ourselves in the new law, which is spiritual law, or the law of one, because I was trained as a peace officer in the system that they use, which is the maritime law and the bar association. I'm not a bar member, but I was trained by the RCMP. And yes, he's exactly right. That's what we got to do. And it's going to be a training process. And all our members have to be trained on this. That I'm going halfway through because I haven't done my minor account either. I'm actually looking for direction to do that, other than standing in front of a judge and telling them who I am and standing on my rights. I just need to know where I can do this and get it all done. That's all I need to do. But he's exactly right, because I've checked it out. And even with the insurance companies, like I was talking about, we have to have training. So with that, I yield.
Thank you so much, Terry. Thank you, Michael and Armando. Great to see you here. Yes. Christina.
There we go. Hi, thank you. Wow, I'm on the fast track to learning law for quite a long time now, knowing that our all cap letters is a corporation as well. So we're actually a dead entity because corp is a dead entity. So I lost my house in foreclosure on the Sunshine Coast, British Columbia, back in 2012. And I knew this stuff, but I wasn't able to move through it because there hadn't been any previous examples of anyone winning in the sovereignty movement. I knew people that had went to jail, and I knew people that tried this, that, and the other thing. And I asked in court to see the original bill of sale of the property because I knew it is unceded territory. And I was told by the lawyer who was representing the bankster that it's out of their jurisdiction. So had I have known then what I know now, might not have lost my house and my entire life savings, actually. So that was 2012. And then 2016, I was stopped for speeding in Squamish, and I knew enough about sovereignty, but not the entire lingo of sovereignty. And I asked the police officer, the RCMP, who had stopped me in a black SUV, unmarked car. I asked him for his identification. I asked him for his corporate identification. I asked him for his identification. I said, before I show you mine, I'd like to see yours, because I'm traveling the road alone and I don't know who you are. And so he got angry at me, and I said, okay, well, before we go any further, I'm going to record the conversation. So I went to grab my phone to record the conversation. And the next thing I knew, he says, took a while. It was about 5 minutes of just going back and forth. And make a long story short, he basically pulled me out of the car. I undid my seatbelt, and I was removed from the car, thrown down on the concrete, and he broke all my ribs.
Oh my gosh.
An RCMP officer in Squamish. I was terribly injured.
Oh my God.
So what I had done was, by asking him for his ID, and by saying I'm traveling the road, and by saying I would like to record any further conversation, and as I grabbed my phone, he reached across my body in my car, grabbed my wrist, threw the phone out of my arm. And when I pushed his arm out, I said, whoa, that's like, you've just intruded on my private space. Like, I was really feeling attacked, and I put his arm out. That gave him reason to, so he was arresting me for police assault. So he phones for police assault, but in the meantime, he completely beat the shit out of me in a really fast way, like just like, whoa, like that. And so I was very badly injured from this incident on so many levels, not just physically. My body was trash, but I had no witnesses. I wasn't claiming sovereignty in the way that I knew the lingo. The two things that I said was terminology that suspected I was a free man on the land, part of a free man on the land movement. Free men on the land they are armed and dangerous with intelligence and knowledge, absolutely. But they're taught and they were trained as military to take people down for anything that was of this nature of free men on the land, that they're armed and dangerous or whatever. So, and I didn't know this until later, because I had to really explore it at a very deep level. But I was charged with police assault and obstruction and resisting arrest. And I was the one, I had injuries from head to toe. So I hadn't been in the hospital system for 20 years. I hadn't been to a doctor in 22, since my son was born, maybe 28 years or something. 26 years? And so I ended up in the system because I needed the paper trail and I needed the medical assistance. I needed 911, but I was charged with all these things. And basically what they did was offered me a conditional discharge. So I started to really learn. I was in deep, deep, deep pain. I lost my car. I lost everything. And I wondered if I had been targeted, because I was exploring sovereignty, and I was, an activist for freedom, and I always have been. But what it was that that's how the RCMP. So I couldn't go up against the RCMP because it's a big, I could have gone to the individual man and done the woman to man thing. But the way I got out of it, it took me a long time, but I basically said I was going to do a documentary on free men on the land movement and everything that it stood for. And I wanted 5 hours of court time so that I would bring this information to the court system itself. And I studied so much about, wow, like, first of all, how can this even happen? Like, that they can just beat somebody up for no reason, really. I was pretty innocent in that situation. But it was an interesting process, because I went to lawyers and finally I found somebody a lawyer that was on the side that understood the whole lawful versus legal system. And we wrote a letter to the Crown. And that was a significant letter stating everything that we're learning now. And the charges were dropped within 24 hours, but it took me a year of my life, 2016, 2017, to turn that around. And I'm still not, I'm more knowledgeable now. I'm doing the Law of Man, the Sovereign's Way, people of the salmon I'm working with. So to really understand it, because it's like going back to kindergarten, we have to really go back and understand where we, the whole system, we are armed and dangerous with knowledge and information and a soul that cannot be stopped, kind of thing. And I think that that's what it's like. Now is the time. I feel now is our time.
Thank you, Christina. I so appreciate you being here and sharing your story. And it's sad to hear those situations. I know that your soul, your spirit is so strong, and I'm glad that you made it through to share the other side. And I think that we're all going to be going through challenges, right? It's in order to step into freedom, we're going to go through difficult times and many challenges, and to some degree or another. And I'm just grateful that you're here, Christina.
Thanks, Karen.
As we move forward in regards to stepping out of that legal system, we cannot use any of their legal titles, right? Statutes, codes, rules, they're not law. We know this, right? They are corporate bylaws for employees of a corporation to follow. And so as we begin to really stand in our truth, I know it's going to be, we're going to be moving through challenging times, and each one of us is going to have our own unique experience. Even though there can be fear that rises up in us, we have to face everything and rise. So, Kirk.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to, a word of caution. Like Michael said, you really got to be careful with this knowledge. There's an old saying, as Christine knows, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Myself, in 2002, I was fighting the government and with the income tax, unlawful income tax. And we were actually winning in their courts with their law. Well, it was Canadian historical law. The guy that was representing me knew more law than the prosecutor did. And when it got to the point where the judge was looking funny at the prosecutor because they knew that they were losing, all they did was send a letter off to the Minister of Finance in Ottawa, and he sent a letter back saying that Dave so-and-so can no longer represent myself and a few other people because he was practicing law without a license. So boom, that was the end of that. So, and I mean, I had learned a lot of this stuff. You sort of think you're learning it until you actually get, where the rubber meets the road, like Christine testified to. And, I was in the court, I wouldn't cross the bar. I wasn't going to admit to the all caps, nom de guerre, the war name, the dead corpse. Like, you ever look at a gravestone, all the names on a gravestone, they're in all capital letters because they're dead entities. And that's what we are when they do the birth certificate and all that. So, and by the way, Karen, on the small plastic wallet size birth certificate, in very small print on the bottom, outside in the white border, it says Canadian Banknote Company.
Good eye. I didn't.
Because you were saying that you couldn't find it on the big, on the legal size, but it's on the small plastic one, Canadian banknote. Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't cross the bar. So what does the judge do? He says, so you're not Kirk Galbraith. You don't have a birth certificate. Blah blah blah. All this, and I said, well, I'm not here under that name, and I can't remember what I said. It was 2002, but so he gets his bailiffs to grab me, take me downstairs in the basement. And now this is for failure to file income tax, right? Throw me in the cell for 15, 20 minutes, whatever it was. they strip searched me, and isn't it interesting? They didn't find my tax return up my butt. Like why were they strip searching me? It's an intimidation tactic, and that's how they coerce you. And we've seen it all in this with this movement that we're, experiencing right now worldwide. And, so when they drag me back up into the court and, okay, Mr. Galbraith, they're going to come in now. And I'm like, well, I'm coming in under duress, you know, uh, and so they get you to one way or another, they get you to submit to their jurisdiction. And so unless you really learn all this stuff and know it really well, you want to be careful before you start testing the waters, or test it on something small maybe, because they're going to win if you're in their system, unless you have fully corrected your status, which is what it's called. It's called status correction. There's courses you can take on it, and it's a long documented process that it takes months to get all the documents and to do them all properly and send them in. And even then you can still make mistakes because of but that's why I recently, like Christine, I recently signed up for the Law for Mankind course with Greg and John. And their thing is so simple. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's just a one-page notice. And like John says, his son always gets a kick out of it because he says, Dad, talk caveman talk. Because you say, I, a man, Kurt, so-and-so, claim that you, a woman, Karen, did this, action on this date, and I require of you this thing, and so it's very simple, and it's very, very, what do you call it? Very like caveman. I can't know the sophisticated word, but it's very simple. And so I'm in the middle of this course here, like Christine is, and there's a few other people. I think Armando is also in the course, if it's the same Armando that was at the BC Council meeting last week. So yeah, I just wanted to, just put a caution out there that to make sure that you really know what you're doing before you want to go and test the waters.
Thank you, Kurt. Absolutely. And again, this whole call today is for educational purposes only. Because as Kurt mentioned, and Christina, this is about us learning everything we need to learn. And then what I suggest you do is start practicing at home with another in regards to what you need to say, how you need to stand with confidence. So for instance, I'm going to be having a potluck at my house, and I'm going to be handing out scripts to everyone. And then we're going to go into a dyad, and where each person is going to be pretending that person's a police officer or a judge or whoever. And you practice and you practice and you practice until you feel confident and knowing the languaging. And you do not step out into that world until you feel good in the soul, 100%. Angela. Olga.
First, I want to say thank you to you, Karen, for organizing this very important topic for all of us. And every presenter tonight I heard here, I learned something from them. It doesn't matter how much we tell or what we have lived through. When you hear, you learn from them. Also, it's a subject that I've been reading about for a number of years now, and I know about the experience of Russell J. Gould, how many times he was beaten up.
Yeah.
And all that, and he stood for his right to be sovereign. I know about David Wynne,
Yes.
who wrote the grammar, and it's a very important document for us, how to use word and how to write that it's undeniable, rather than the writing by the black law, where they use a lot of additional word to what they want to say, and they avoid a lot of it what they want to say. So they keep you in a limbo till the case is finished or whatever. How David Wynn is teaching us in his grammar to use correctly and to be direct to what you want to say, especially in writing, but in speaking as well. Another thing that I've learned through this process is not how to oppose the other authority, but to stand for your authority and respect the other authority. He's in another system. He still has an authority of that system, whether that is a peace officer, is a judge, or corporate member. Regardless, he has the authority, but not necessarily authority over me. Quickly will realize that I do have my own authority and I do respect his. This way I get respect back. It's a learning experience, but learning process. But we have to start somewhere, and we start with our own self. I know a lot of people who are not in it take me as arrogant. I try to smoothen up, but if I'm in a position to discuss with someone who is in authority, quickly will realize to respect my authority over me, not over him. So this is something I wanted to point out, that I have studied and I have experienced over my working life. With this I yield, but I believe a lot more people have their say here. Thanks again.
Thank you, Olga, for sharing your brilliance. I always appreciate your words. Brian.
Basically, I just wanted to share my experience. I've been looking at this for a long time. And I've been talking to sovereign experts. And there's been many occasions that they'll be, say, selling a course that they can do this. And like it's been said in here, it takes a long time and some paperwork. And some guy, Kirk, I think, was saying as fast and it's easy. And I just want to convey exactly what I think, that you're playing in a corrupt system, and they talk about correcting errors. That doesn't even make sense. They make mistakes and we have to correct them. It doesn't even make sense. I've been in these battles in the courtrooms and I've done everything that I can. I've studied everything that I can. And I am by no means any expert in any of this, but I have looked into this in great depth and I've taken it into court and I've tried a few things. And I even talked to sovereign experts about this. Basically, and they said to the sovereign expert, they wanted to sell you this course for $5,000. And if we got a lot of people together, we can do it for $500. And I said, well, basically, all I really want to know is what's the end of the game. At the end of this, I'm sovereign, but it's ignored in court. And he says, yes, we get a lot of that. And that's exactly what it boils down to. When you're in court, it's ignored. They don't pay attention to this. And my personal belief is that singularly, I am not sovereign, but with a massive group of people behind me, and I'm not talking 1,000, I'm talking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, we all got to do this together. That's the only way this will ever have strength. And that's what I like, groups like this, that we all get together and we work together and we're all growing aware. And when we fight together, we have more strength than when we just fight alone. That's what to me, that's what this is all about. We are sovereign and we don't have to become sovereign. We are sovereign, but we're fighting one-on-one in their system, we're not going to win. They might give us a break once in a while. But when we stand together in mass numbers, that's when they listen. We have to take them down, and that's what it's all about, numbers. And with that, I yield.
I agree, Brian. I love how David shared that if you ever have to go to court, you must make your own case that they are filing a false claim against you, as there are no injured parties, right? So in natural law, there has to be an injured party. And in most cases, there is no injured party against you. And of course, they never answer their claim. So he suggested that he was sharing an example of a court case that a man had to go to court, and he had 20 of his friends go as well and sit. And because the judge kept ignoring him, they all said, please let him speak at the same time. And they continued to say this. And so he had to speak, and he won. But you're right. Again, this is all about educating ourselves. And it's going to be when we all come together and say, yes, we are sovereign. 100%. I agree with you, Brian.
Before I yield, there's lots of Supreme Court judgments in the United States, lots. And I found lots. And this other, what's his name, David Straight, he's from the States. I've got a link here. I'm going to post in chat. It's from the States. There's excellent Supreme Court judgments that justify exactly what we're talking about. But here in Canada, it is ignored. So if we're going to have some guy in here, Paul, I'd like to see what his history is and what the benefit of all of this stuff is. I'd love to see something in Canada, because I've done the research, and I would love to see something in Canada that works. And it's hard to find. I can't find it.
No, I know. And the only thing is, there's a 5% chance of going to the Supreme Court. And so there's a lot of court cases now in regards to what's going on and crimes against humanity. They're going to the Supreme Court. But yeah, it's a 5% chance of going to Supreme Court. So all the court filings we see they're not going to happen. And yeah, I get it. So yeah, I recommend to everyone who has not seen the David Straight videos, there's 5 of them all together. Let's do our homework. You get to step in. He does have a course available. I've never taken his course. I don't even know how much it is. My friend Jamie is taking the course right now, and I'm waiting to see what she has to say about it. So I won't recommend anything until I've taken it or I know somebody who has taken it. And so, yeah, and I know Christopher James, yeah, he definitely interviewed David as well. And I know it feels like a daunting task before us, so let's just take a deep breath. Yeah, we're not here to be activists or fight anyone or anything. And the way to end this battle is to make sure that we do never fight at all. It's in our wisdom, it's in our knowledge that we're going to be moving forward. And go ahead, Linda. Absolutely.
Especially for us women, where we need to work on ourselves to get rid of that submissiveness.
Yes.
And we have to raise the level of, you have the right, you have the authority. It doesn't mean you have to tell someone anything, like you have to have people below you to have authority, have your own authority. Treat the other to his or her authority, and everything's just fine. We need to be submissive. That's something we need to work on. Just wanted to add to it.
Thank you, Olga. That is so great. Okay, so for all the women here, this is what you can do when you go to bed tonight. After you brush your teeth, you look in the mirror, you look in your eyes, and you say, I'm reclaiming my feminine power now. And all of you men, you stand in the mirror, look into your eyes, and you say, I'm reclaiming my masculine power now. And so it is.
And I do respect you. I do respect you as a man, no problem.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I loved how, going back to David too, he said, he said, never answer their claim. You always have to make your own claim and never argue facts, like never argue anything they share. You never argue anything. Natural law is so simple. In the words we are to be expressing is simple. However, because they don't want to hear it, we might have to repeat it 10 times, 20 times, 30 times. And as long as we're staying in our calmness and confidence, then we are going to win this 100%. Dwayne.
Thank you, Karen. Good evening, everyone. I know that some of you are brand new to LifeForce Canada. This might be your very first call, and perhaps it's your very first introduction to this languaging and sovereignty. And I know some of you are, yikes, this is really, really daunting. Karen addressed that, and so is Brian and a few others on this call. However, it just starts with this conversation is a catalyst for awareness. This conversation is just for you to do a little bit of a deeper dive. And you probably have already known that there's some things out there that you've got to refresh yourself on when it comes to what's going on. And it's just a simple, maybe it's a couple minutes a day, just refreshing yourself or learning some new languaging around our laws, some new languaging around who and what, sovereignty truly means. Really dig into that. And like a lot of the people have expressed here, go into this with an incredible amount of cautionary movement. You don't want to become, you've done a little bit of reading and now you've got an S on your chest and a cape on your back and you're untouchable. And yeah, we're not advocating that at all. It's really important that you do your due diligence. Just get comfortable with the languaging. Just get comfortable with what's good for you, what works for you at this particular time. As we don't know from one day to the next whether or not it's tomorrow or next week or next year or if at all, when the shit goes down, as it were. If you look at Australia as a guidepost as to where things might go, it is incredibly daunting what's going on over there, and their system is markedly different. Even though that we are Commonwealth countries and we look very similar, the Australian system is very, very different in regards to the sheer number of police, how well funded the police are, and they also have decades of corruption over in Australia. And I know it's like, what do you mean? Australia is such a, they're just like us. That system has been in the making for this perfect storm for a number of years now. So I know a lot of people want to draw some correlation that it's going to come here. We have what's called the Canadian sensibilities. And I believe in every soldier and every police officer in Canada. That's the one thing that we've got going for us if this was to go down. And that is, I believe, the Canadian soldier or police officers, I'm not getting paid enough for this. This is ridiculous. I am not going, I'll go this far, but I'm not going that far. And I'm the eternal optimist, and I believe that Canada, for some way, somehow, we're going to get through this. And yes, we need to do this together. Like Brian said, it's so important that we do this en masse. And this is why this container, LifeForce Canada, is here. It's an education platform, but it's also a community and it's also family. So as you're going down this road of discovery and learning a new language and new possibilities, you're not doing it by yourself. And a lot of people that have gone down this road, like Brian has, he's felt very much alone on this journey for many, many years. And so has a lot of the other people that have been doing this sovereign I am who I am, small caps, and it's tough. It really is. And we don't want to have you leave this call thinking that, oh my God, I'm going to be an island unto myself, and the police and the court systems and everything else does not accept what this is about. And I could be beaten up, or I could be thrown in jail, or I can lose my autonomy or whatever. We're not advocating that at all. This is just about learning. Start there, learn what you can. It's just taking the blinders and going a little bit further out. And then once we've got a feeling of solidarity and strength in numbers, then we'll move forward powerfully. So I just wanted to leave you with that. And I don't want you to leave the call thinking that, oh my God, I don't know, or there's so much uncertainty out there. Hold the line. We're going to get through this with knowledge and awareness and strength in numbers. And with that, I yield.
Thank you, Dwayne. Beautiful message. It's so important that, as we're moving forward here, it's an enlightenment process. And enlightenment is when our personality connects with truth. And it can feel awful within ourselves. And as Dwayne said, have each other's backs right here. And we're all going to make it through to the other side. Thank you, Dwayne. Sandra.
Hi, everyone. Yes, thanks for speaking up on that, Dwayne. I've been listening to the whole call and listening to the discussion and, understanding the videos, and I've been aware of this for a while. I was a little reluctant to speak up tonight, but I feel it's important to say that it has been discouraged of trying to pursue taking that legal route of trying to extricate yourself from the system, but you just get yourself into a lot of trouble with that. And plus, also to remind everyone that there are a lot of things happening in the background, things that are already underway that haven't taken full effect yet. And I don't think a lot of this is even going to be necessary. It's the same as the whole system is going to crumble, but we have been given our rights back already. And we just haven't been able to put it into motion yet. And I also just wanted to mention that we have the option through our assemblies to create our own court system. You will never get justice. So as I was listening to everybody tonight, it was all of the interactions are when you encounter their system, when you get into trouble with their system and you're responding to their system. And of course, there's also mortgages and things like that we will, and our ownership of our properties, etc. But that means that you're always going to be in their court system, and there is no justice in their court system. So we have the ability to have grand juries. And so I saw a couple of examples in the chat tonight. One was Chelsea was mentioning she has a hearing for refusing quarantine, and Sherry shared a story of a man who was pushed around by the police for not wearing a mask at a hockey game. Those are the kinds of issues. I mean, they've now encountered the system, so they're having to respond to the system. But they also have a recourse of calling a grand jury and bringing charges against those people who have wronged them. So that's the next step in this as well. I'm not saying that we're quite prepared to do that now, but a grand jury is 27 people getting together and hearing the evidence and making and that goes to the Supreme Court. It is once you have a grand jury decision. So I know that there was a group called the Royal Society of Canada. They were trying to they formed a de jure group under the existing constitution, but they did grand juries. They have incredible stories of what they accomplished through grand juries. So just that's my input, I guess, as far as where this is going. All of this is, as Dwayne said, it's all good for education to understand how the system was created, how the system exists today. So therefore you can monitor how you interact with the system and try and avoid getting into conflicts with it. But we just have to kind of push through a little bit to I think we're really close to breaking through where a lot of what you're talking about isn't really going to be necessary. It's all going to be in our hands, and then we'll move forward from there. I yield.
Thank you so much, Sandra. There's a lot of people who are being fined right now. They're having to go to court in regards to vaccines. They're having to go to court because their husband or wife wants custody of the child because they want to get the child vaccinated. And there's a lot of tears in regards to parents right now. And so there are so many people that are having to face legal issues right now. And so this is here to educate you to know that even though you might be having challenges right now in this crazy satanic system, we will win on the other side of this 100%. And again, as I mentioned at the beginning of this call, it's only for educational purposes. It is for us to really connect to our own sovereignty. Remember that we need to practice in regards to what we need to say if we are ever stopped by the police, if we are ever stopped by anyone, right, to be claiming our sovereignty. This is not about you going out and taking action and pushing yourself into that system or attempting to leave it at the moment. Because as Sandra and Dwayne shared, this is our time is now, and we are creating a whole new system, natural law system. I've been working on the natural law court procedures and protocol, and the simplicity there is incredible. We never need a judge. We will not need a judge anymore. We will not need a lawyer anymore. Again, as Sandra said, it's just having a jury. And it's only if someone is claiming injury, and it'll be a simplified version. We've been given a complicated version of legalese, and it's all based on fraudulency. And Trevor, yes, it is a one big rabbit hole, 100% it is, but it's so important to learn. And that's why I really empower you to watch David Straight's videos, you know, on the weekend, just, you know, a Saturday morning, Sunday morning, have your coffee, your tea, and just watch a video. You know, have your pen and paper, write some notes, because even though you may not need it right now, it's so important for us to learn the system that we've been in, how fraud has been placed upon us. And that is why I think that this is important for us to really see in regards to our birth certificate, in regards to everything. Brian.
I'm going to put a letter in chat. It's from what I understand, I just found it today. It's a letter from the Mounties to whoever, I'm not sure, Trudeau, who for all I know. But it did give me some hope and peace of mind. Whether it's legit or not, I'm not sure. But there was a comment in here that said that might not be legit. Maybe it is. Just if you want to take a look at that letter, it really gives you the idea that the RCMP know about the corruption that's going on, which is a great step forward.
Thank you, Brian. I just wanted to share that the GIA, the Global Intelligence Agency, they're sending out enforcement notices to employers who are creating the mandatory vaccine notices. And you can actually send in a grievance. And so I put the link in the chat. So if you know of an employer that is doing this, you can file a grievance into the GIA. Thank you, everyone, for standing in freedom, standing in truth. And so I'll take a big, deep breath in of that life force energy. If you need to go now, thank you for being here. Together we rise, everyone. If you want to stay and have a meditation with me, then you're welcome to stay. And I will send out another email this week in regards to David Straight's videos and the link to his website so that you can continue watching them. And we'll continue the conversation next Monday. Good night, everyone. I'm going to sit back, straighten your spine. I'm going to start on our breathing. Breathing in to the count of 5 and breathing out to the count of 5. And just whatever energy you feel in your body right now, whether it's stress, overwhelm, frustration, fear, just allowing those energies to be okay. Again, we don't even want to fight the energies that are coming up and rising up within us. And just saying to yourself, I'm letting go. I'm letting go of everything I am not. I am letting go. I am sovereign. I am a living man or a living woman. I am. I'm reclaiming my personal power now. Focusing on your breath, breathing slowly, breathing deeply, and just focusing on your heart. Focusing on the center of your being, focusing on your heart energy. And just visualizing that flame within your heart, that light within you. I am light. I am love. I am confident. I am already free. I am free. And just feel that light inside of you expanding. It's a ball of energy in your heart space. And when we're in fear, we can sometimes forget about this beautiful light inside of ourselves. I am free. I have the power to move forward and face all challenges. I am free and I have the power to face all that is before me. I am powerful, and this power will move me beyond any obstacle I face. And even though I may be feeling fear of my future, I love and appreciate myself. Keep focusing on your breath. Slowly and deeply. I'm free. Just breathe in silence for a moment. On the count of 3, you can open your eyes. So 1, bring yourself back into your room. 2, bring yourself back into your body. And 3. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And if you are from Alberta, I look forward to seeing you on the Plan Council Alberta call tomorrow night. And make sure that you join our think tanks during the week. Lots of love to all of you. Namaste.
Thanks, Karen. Good night.
Namaste. Thank you. Good night.
So much, Karen.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, everyone.